Hello, 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 everyone, once again out there in the digital world. It is I, Jordan, hosting the 12,004 most listened to podcast, Spliced In Later. That's just a little joke. It's probably much lower than that. Dropping episode 3 for you. Again, quite quickly. Trying to get a good sense of my content over this past week. After this episode, there will be some proper breaks in between. Give people a chance to listen to this stuff. And also to give me an idea of what I want to do in the future. I'm bursting with good ideas, but executing them, that requires a little more thought. For this episode, we are going to do a review. Often I will try and do reviews of brand new movies coming out, hopefully before the weekend. Maybe you guys can have a listen if you're not sure about a movie, and get an idea if it's worth your time and your money. So we're going to jump right into it. This review will be about Terminator, Dark Fate. A little bit of backstory for you if you're unfamiliar with the Terminator franchise. Terminator was first released in 1984, I think it was. Big hit starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, lovable Arnie, flexing his acting chops. As a killer robot sent from the future to kill a woman called Sarah Connor, played by Linda Hamilton. She's saved by Kyle Reese, a man sent from the future to protect her. And the movie is essentially an action mixed with elements of horror. It's pretty scary in some places. Again, if I think a movie's scary, it takes me a while to watch it, so it took me a long time to watch The Terminator. But I loved it. I thought it was really great. Not too long either. It's a very simple premise. Guaranteed good time. Highly recommend. 7 years later, Terminator 2 Judgment Day comes out. Both of these movies were directed by James Cameron, I should say. Pretty good director. He's done Titanic and Avatar, both huge films. Rolling in the money they brought in. I love Titanic. Avatar, I think, is good. But I will get into Avatar in a whole other episode, because there's a lot to unpack on that one. Terminator 2, arguably the best of the Terminator films. Arnie was back as a Terminator, this time on the side of good, helping out our heroes in the movie, trying to prevent the apocalypse, the future that he came from. Again, great action. Bit of comedy thrown in now that Arnie's playing a good Terminator. He's trying to learn how to be human, but he's not quite doing it right because he's a robot. And also, he's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Not that I've got anything against Arnie. I love him. But let's be fair. He's a bit of a strange man himself, which works when he wants to do comedy. If you want to see Arnie in comedy films, I highly recommend Jingle All the Way. Utterly ridiculous film, and definitely worth a look. After Terminator 2, things went a little bit off track. 3 more Terminator films came out. Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines. That one was certainly all over the place and removed a lot of the impact of Terminator 2. So that was a bit disappointing to fans alike. Terminator Salvation comes out in 2009. That's actually the first Terminator film I saw. So I actually kind of enjoyed it. It's great as an action film, and it's also a cool sneak peek into the future, where all these Terminators are running about like crazy people. Unfortunately, when Mr. Arnie Schwarzenegger is governor of California, he's not really allowed to be in these movies anymore. So you have to deal with some pretty dodgy CGI to make you think that he's in it. Overall, not bad though. And then 2015, Terminator Genisys. Absolutely all over the place, that one. Cool concepts, strange acting, utterly confounding story. Genisys' biggest sin, in my opinion, is its trailer. I will be bringing a whole episode to you in the future about trailers and what makes them good and the baffling decisions that some people make in regards to trailers. But that's a whole other thing, and we'll get into that at a later date. Because I said I was going to do a review about Dark Fate, and I'm taking my time getting there. So let's jump right in. As you can probably guess, Dark Fate is the 6th installment in the Terminator franchise. And its main goal is basically Terminator 3, and everything after that doesn't matter anymore. This is a direct sequel to Terminator 2, and invents its own story from there. Basic plot of the story, I'm not going to spoil this one, because if you want to see it at the theaters, you don't want to know what happens in it, clearly. Some Terminators get sent back in time. A human gets sent back in time to protect a girl. Sarah Connor shows up to also protect this girl. And even Arnie puts in an appearance as another Terminator. Now, my overall view of this movie, I was pleasantly surprised. I was not expecting this to be particularly good. I didn't like any of the trailers. I was a bit worried that the concept of the Terminator world had become a bit repetitive. I didn't want it to be a bunch of CGI Terminators with big explosions and confusing plots that I wouldn't know what was going on and my eyes hurt. To give you an idea of why I was worried, I would highly recommend a video by Red Letter Media called Understanding the Timeline in Terminator Genisys. It is an absolutely hilarious video, and it really paints a clear picture of just how messed up the Terminator timeline is. Which is probably why they've gone with the option of eliminating most of the films and just focusing on the first two. But pretty much right from when the movie starts off, it is action-packed. It hits the ground running, and it does not stop. And some of the action sequences in here are just top-notch. They look incredible. They're executed flawlessly, and they keep you pumped. The only downside with all this action is in the brief moments where it does stop to catch its breath. The movie does tend to drag a bit. It clocks in at 2 hours, which isn't too bad for a Terminator film. Only a couple of times did I think about how long the movie was going, which is pretty good. If you're sitting there counting the seconds, then you know you're not enjoying this film. The Terminator concept is shaken up slightly. Again, I won't spoil exactly what it is. Things aren't exactly the same as what they were when we saw these characters in Terminator 2. In essence, that's good, but it still doesn't quite pull away from the formula of the first two. So there will be times where you think you have seen this before. And unfortunately, with this kind of concept, it's hard to get past that. But you have to accept that at this point, if you're going to the 6th film in a franchise, you're going to have seen a lot of it before. A lot of it is played as nostalgia. I'm sure even if you haven't seen the Terminator films, you're familiar with several of the catchphrases. I'll be back. Hasta la vista, baby. And anytime Arnold Schwarzenegger speaks in his Austrian accent. Arnie's not in the film too much. He has quite a small role, but I gotta hand it to Arnie. He knows how to play this character. He doesn't steal the spotlight from the other characters. He doesn't turn it all about him. His comedy is used effectively and only in small doses, which is pretty good. And he can still kick butt when he wants to. But I'll tell you who can kick butt. Linda Hamilton. She's back as an older Sarah Connor, and she is just lovely in her role as a snarky, grumpy, Terminator-killing badass. I was a bit worried that she wouldn't be up to it, which I guess is bad on my part. I haven't seen Linda Hamilton in too much stuff, and I have this terrible bias that if I don't see an actor in anything for a while, I wonder if it's because they've lost that spark that really gets them into acting. But no, it's like she never stopped playing Sarah Connor. She is fantastic, and I applaud her performance in this movie. But who I really want to draw special attention to is Mackenzie Davis. Now, she plays the character that comes back from the future to protect the people being attacked by the Terminators. She's not strictly human. She's got a few upgrades, so she's kind of half human, half robot. Hopefully that's not spoiling too much. But I think if you've seen any of the posters and trailers, you could probably make that assumption yourself. She's got charisma. She's got great action scenes. She's funny. She's happy to swear when she wants to. She's really enjoyable to watch. She was my favorite character in the movie. And also, special mention to, I want to say, Natalia Reyes. Apologies if I get any names wrong. I try to remember all the actors' names, but there's only so much space up in my brain. She plays Dani Ramos, who is the protagonist of the film that everybody is coming after or trying to protect. And she's really good too. I hope to see her in a lot more stuff. And of course, the Terminator has been upgraded, as per most of these Terminator films, which is pretty nifty. Diego Luna is pretty cool as a Terminator with charisma and charm. I really enjoyed him when he played Ghost Rider on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., a really great show that you should check out if you haven't seen. So I was happy with his performance as well. Overall, to sum up, basically, the review for this movie is pleasantly surprised and a good time at the theatres. Everybody was really great in their roles. The action was great. Hats off to Tim Miller, who directed the film. I'm sure everybody loves the Deadpool movies. I believe he directed the first one, which is arguably the best of the two. And he directed something else. You know what? And the name has escaped me. I had it prepared, and I thought I wouldn't need it, so I didn't write it down. But he's a great director, so I'm sure he's directed other stuff that's fantastic. Good old Tim Miller. So well done there. Overall opinion, I would give the film an 8 out of 10, I think. You'll find with my gradings for movies, I tend to be more generous than most of the other reviewers you'll hear online. I'm happy to give many films 5 stars, where I know a lot of people are a bit more conservative with that sort of thing. But if I have a good time at the theatres, if I have a good time watching a movie, I want people to know, and I do not shy away from applauding movies and giving them top notch. 7 thumbs up, if I had 7 thumbs. So yeah, 8 out of 10. Definitely go see it. I'm not sure what you've got on this weekend, but if you've got a spare 2 hours, if you want to hang out with your friends, if it's raining outside, if you want to avoid someone, go to the movies. Check out Terminator Dark Fate. It's honestly, I'm still just so surprised at how much I enjoyed the film. I'm on cloud 9 at the moment. It was a really good night out. So that's really it. I'll wrap up because these reviews will generally be quicker than normal. I'll leave you with the thought of positive feelings for Terminator Dark Fate. Definitely check it out. Check out all the Terminator films if you haven't seen them. If you're a fan of the Terminator franchise, let me know what your favorite Terminator film is. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to leave a comment. Or don't. As that famous Simpsons sign once said, I'm a sign, not a cop. I'm a voice. You don't have to listen to me, but I appreciate that you do. Thanks very much for listening. Give it a couple of days. I will be back. I'll be talking about a film which I guarantee most of you have not heard of, called 3 Idiots. It is a fantastic film that needs more recognition. So I look forward to talking on and on and on about that. And I hope you look forward to listening to that. As always, I am Awkward Jordan of Spliced In Later. I've enjoyed talking to you, and I can't wait to do so again. Adios, muchachos, and I'll catch you next time.